August 27th meeting of the Hammond Board of Public Works and Safety. Roll call. Here. Here. Are there any conflict of interest statements? First order of business. Well, approval of the minutes, we can't do it because they're not ready, right? We'll move down to correspondence. We have a construction engineering contract with Robinson Engineering for the Carroll Street project from Home and Alignment. The contract's for $52,000.
I recommend that we approve the contract.
I'll concur. Next, we have a contract with Reith Riley Construction Company for the Oxbow Landing Access Road. This is $371,475.
Recommend that we approve this also.
And I'll concur. We have a request for advertising dates of September 10th and September 17th with a bid opening date of October 1st for a whole series of demolitions. There's about 25 demolitions.
I'd like to recommend that we set those dates.
And I'll concur. Next, we have correspondence from Police Chief John Doty recommending Nicholas Daly, Simon Seba, and Jason Corba be appointed as probationary members of the Hammond Police Department and to service their one-year probationary periods effective September 3rd.
I'd like to recommend Chief Doty's request and we welcome them to the city.
And I'll concur. Next, we have correspondence from the Hammond Department of Environmental Management requesting approval for a proposed license agreement for property at 10770 Indianapolis Boulevard. This is to have Pinnacle do an assessment of the soils and the groundwater.
I recommend that we approve their request.
I'll concur. Next, we have an acknowledgement from the Indiana Department of Transportation. They're going to be the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT. The Village of Burnham, they're going to be closing Burnham Avenue again for 2 weeks, starting about the middle of September. This is for the NICD tracks to be replaced through that intersection. It's a shame that they couldn't have done that at the same time as the other one, but they're going to use the same detour route. They're going to send traffic over to Calumet Avenue.
We're just taking this under advice.
Well, you can recommend that it be approved.
I recommend that we approve this.
And I'll concur. Next, we have correspondence received requesting $70,000 of Fort District gaming money to be transferred to the engineering department for overlays and street repairs.
I recommend that we approve that.
And I'll concur. Correspondence, item H is correspondence received from Assistant City Engineer Mark Gordish requesting a one-lane closure on 141st Street for September 1st and 2nd to repair damage and settlement to the roadway. The work's going to be done by the street department and the water department, but it is at a bad location where they're going to need to close that lane so those guys can work approach to the bridge.
I recommend Mr. Gordon's request.
And I'll concur. Next, we have correspondence under item I from the City Council President Michael Pinker requesting an investigation for the removal of the railroad crossings at Walton, Conkey, and Detroit. Those are currently owned by NICD. We can talk to NICD and see if they're willing to pull them out. I know they stayed in there for a long time based on some reversionary clauses on that railroad right-of-way.
I recommend that we approve Mr. Gordon's request.
Probably refer it to engineering.
And refer to engineering.
Sure. Next, we have a contract for professional services with DNR Site Services for the demolition of 1114 Eaton Street and 4503 Holman submitted for approval. The one on Eaton is only a garage.
approve, I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to recommend that we approve D&D's.
And I'll concur. Next, we have an emergency order to repair or demolish hearing on property located at 629 Stewart Court.
All right, Mr. President, I have some photographs, I have some evidence. Just to give a little history of the property, 629 Stewart Court is a property that has never been maintained in recent memory. The city has been cutting the grass. I'm going to show you some pictures of how, prior to the fire, it was maintained by the owners. As you can see by these pictures, the city was being forced to cut the grass. The house was entirely full of newspapers and other garbage. The fact that it caught fire was no surprise to anybody. What a fire had in the house. The property did eventually catch fire, no surprise to anybody, in July. It looked like it started on the porch that was filled with newspapers
And a bunch of abandoned mail.
and abandoned mail.
I've seen, that was there, over on the corner from me.
Can you see the pictures of the fire? The city made attempts to contact the owners. We sent written letters. I got actually no response, so we placed it as an order to demolish. Then, of course, yesterday, for the very first time, I received a correspondence from the insurance company. The insurance company's position is that, granted that the house has burned, it is completely useless, but they're not going to pay for the garage, because apparently a garage sitting on an unmaintained property is absolutely no hazard danger to the residents of Hammond in their position, and it should just remain there as a vacant, abandoned garage on a vacant, abandoned lot that nobody cuts the grass on. Now, the city's position is that's complete nonsense. City's ordinance requires that when the house comes down, the garage comes down, the slabs come out. And whether the insurance company is going to pay for it or not, I would ask that both of those be ordered demolished. The city will then pay for the demolition and place a lien on the taxes for the cost of the demolition. Now, there is an insurance proceeds. I did ask the insurance company to withhold the 15% as required by state law for the cost to reimburse the city. They, of course, have indicated the funds are being held. They won't tell me the amount, and they're also refusing to pay for the cost of the demolition of the garage. However, a garage sitting alone on a property we know is not maintained by the owners is just going to burn next time, or some kids are going to break in, or somebody's going to, set fire to it. So at this time, I would ask that the findings and orders that I have prepared for 629 Stewart Court, house and garage, be approved by the board. Of course, I'm not sure who's here for the property owner. As I said, nobody contacted me except the insurance company. If they have something to say, they're free to say it.
Okay. Would you like us to go to the podium? Okay.
That you're on TV.
Okay. So this is a property that we purchased back
Who are
in...
you?
Who's
So that
we?
we
I'm
know-
sorry. My name's Amy Redmond, and this is my husband.
And I'm Kirk Redmond.
And who do you represent?
We're the owners of the property.
Oh, you purchased it from
Yes.
the...
We purchase properties in Hammond and we beautify them and we rent them.
How long have you owned it?
I believe this was purchased in the fall of 2013. So we received one letter from the city on this property, June 3rd of 2014.
We didn't even know who the owner was until after the fire. We were cutting the grass for how long, Chris?
We've been cutting the grass, looks like, for 3 years. So if this is how the Redmonds beautify Hammond, I beg them to please stop beautifying Hammond.
Ma'am, my question is,
Yeah.
we were cutting the grass for 3 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're cutting the grass because I've been paying somebody to cut the grass for the 2 years that we've owned the properry.
And he goes out every 2 weeks.
And we
he-
get billed.
He cuts grass for us. He does a great job.
Does this look like he's been doing a great job? These are pictures that were taken this May 14th. Does this look like he's doing a great job?
We don't cut the grass every 2 weeks. We have to
Okay.
wait until we get a court order.
Okay.
And the only time we get a court order is when it gets so high and we start getting
Yeah,
complaints from the neighborhood
and beyond
or
that, and I
myself,
don't know
because I
if
live around the corner.
So we received, the only correspondence we received from the city was a letter that we received. So, and this goes back a year ago. So
Today.
so can I, well, the city knew we owned it because they sent us a letter asking us to remove bushes. We immediately had the bushes trimmed and removed. That's the only correspondence we received.
Hear me out. When did you receive the letter to remove the bushes?
A year ago or so?
June 3rd, 2014. So, but anyway, I mean, that's, at this point, you know, we don't need to talk about the bushes or the grass, but we have someone come out, and any places that are not, that don't have tenants in them are mowed every 10 days. So I have the bills, we pay them, even when we came out after the fire, I mean, the yard was mowed and cut.
The flower, it's beautiful.
But anyway, at this point, the fire occurred June 25th. We were made aware, actually, by the guy that mows the property. I'm sorry, July. July 25th, fire occurred in the morning. July 28th, when the guy went out to mow the grass, he called me to let me know. We contacted our insurance company that day. Since then, since that time, they've been doing an investigation. They hired a cause and origin specialist. From my understanding, the report came back day before yesterday. Yesterday morning, about 8:30 a.m., I received a call, and I've had recorded interviews. We've been, you know, completing the process with the insurance company. So yesterday I received a call. Yesterday I received a call at 8:30 in the morning confirming coverage. They said, we're confirming that you have coverage on this property. We're moving forward. We're going to contact the city. And so they were in the process of getting bids to have the property.
You didn't know that you had insurance on the property until you got the phone call?
No, they had to
No.
investigate the cause and origin, so we didn't get confirmation of insurance until yesterday.
The same date that I received this emergency order to demolish, I received a letter from my insurance company saying we're investigating whether this is a covered loss. Okay? They have a process.
letter for me dated August 12th?
I did, but what was I supposed to do with that?
Contact the city, let them know that you have insurance, you don't have insurance, or they can be responsible, you're not gonna be responsible. How many times did you ever visit this property?
Several.
And you didn't notice the stickers that had been affixed to the door? These stickers are not all the same dates, these are different dates. The
Okay.
stickers indicate the city has had to come and touch your grass.
Okay.
You didn't notice the piles of rubbish in the property? You didn't,
The property had not been cleaned out from the prior owner. Correct.
how is this beautifying? Tell me how you're beautifying Hammond, because I'd like to know what other properties you own so we can go check how beautified they are.
Okay. I
If-
can
if
provide you that.
I mean, these shrubs here, and the window that's boarded up, well, I thought you said you took care of this. This is May of this year. I thought you said you took care of this in 14.
Took care of what, we
Is
trimmed the
this bush?
bushes,
What's
yeah.
this? This is trimmed? What's all this? This is all taken care of?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a bunch of nonsense. You have
Okay.
a fire hazard house, it catches fire to nobody's surprise, and now you're trying to be cheap on the insurance saying we should leave the perfectly good garage. What are you gonna do with the garage? Tell me what your
Yeah.
plans are for the garage.
So,
We don't know if we're gonna rebuild, okay, or if we're gonna leave it as a vacant lot.
Kelly, is
So-
it possible to rebuild on that lot?
I can do so, I'm not sure the lot dimensions.
Kurt?
No, the lot requirements on, in that zoning district are 50 feet and 38 feet, I believe.
It's a small lot.
I
I guess my question is, ma'am, is that the stickers on the door, for how many stickers, Chris?
3.
And it only happens, we don't cut the grass every week. It's like every 3 or 4 weeks. We gotta get a court order. We have to do, we send you guys notice, or Judge Hartman's office sends notices. right?
Yeah, we didn't receive that, but.
I guess I don't understand what this has to do with the cleanup for a fire. I don't understand what
It goes to
cutting the
show
grass.
that these people who don't maintain their property, they're out-of-town landlords, they don't care, and here we're gonna have a garage left on the structure. We already know they don't take care of it, so we're just gonna leave an abandoned garage there?
We're going to leave it for a period of time until we can determine.
So I guess my concern is yesterday we received notice that we had insurance coverage, and we immediately moved. We basically need a week. We need a week to address it. We couldn't do anything until yesterday.
My question is, you just received notice that you had insurance. Do you
That we had
Coverage,
We
yeah.
had coverage.
Prior to that, they were investigating and giving the impression
Have
that
you spoken
because
to the
of
fire department,
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I-
went
fire
and
department?
obtained a report.
basically what happened when we got the call from our mowing guy, we had no idea the property had burned. I called the police department, I called the fire department.
Called the
We
city.
immediately went out there and then we contacted our insurance company. We met them immediately out there. They said they have to do this cause and origin and that once that was done, they would determine whether we had coverage. And yesterday, we got notice that fortunately, because it's likely, because it's so yesterday we received notice that there's coverage, and they said they immediately got bids. We're working through it, and then we find out that, you know, we need to come in today.
Well, I guess my position, or I'm not gonna speak for Stan, but I live just around the corner from there, and I hear since I live so close,
Uh-huh.
people know where the fire chief lives, they come to me and they say, what do you guys know about this house on Stewart Cook? And
Yeah.
they know I'm on the board work, and I have no answers. And then I drive by it all the time, I see the stickers on the door, and you guys have not been around there there's nobody there. If the person that lived there that you bought the house from, stuff is still inside, and how long have you owned the house?
Yeah,
A year and a half,
You
maybe?
guys have not gone there at least cleaned out in a year and a half. That's a problem for me, and then the
Okay.
neighbors come to me, and there's actually a councilman's brother that lives right next door. And
Okay.
he goes to his brother, and his brother knows about the house. So it's been an ongoing issue for the last 2.5 years, 2 years, at least 2 years. And with us cutting the grass and getting court ordered, and then we have to pay the lawn service to cut the grass.
I don't understand it, this has anything to do with demolition, if they had someone cutting your grass,
Yeah.
why didn't they notify you that you had a green tag on it? If we don't pay
That
the
I
service,
don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
They didn't
Yeah.
have something to do with that, it's just a story.
It's not a story.
So what are your plans for the garage?
We don't know. We just found out yesterday that,
Here's the thing, I asked that you enter the order to demolish, we recorded on the property, we knocked down the house and the garage, which should have been done already anyway, and then we put it on the taxes. If they have a delinquent tax bill, they can't bid on any more tax sale properties, that's a change in the law, and therefore they will no longer be beautifying Hampton.
The
So
other
I
thing
think
is,
we all win.
According to Mr. Cook behind you, he's our, what are you? Building commissioner. I'm getting confused. The lot is too small to rebuild.
Okay.
okay.
Well, that's,
Zoning purpose.
you know,
Okay, at this point then, what we would request, and the insurance company has made this request of the city attorney, is that the quote that they've received or that they're gonna recommend, that be differentiated for the house versus the garage,
We are
because there's no
not going to
insurance.
leave the garage. So
Okay,
what are you
my,
going to do?
There-
my question is whether the quote that you're recommending, that they approve to demolish the home and the garage can be split out between the home and the garage, because my insurance company is telling me there's no coverage.
Correct, so what is your plans for the garage? What are your plans as owner of this property for the garage?
no,
We
you,
don't know, we're just finding out now that we can't rebuild.
I think you're missing the point, is we have to pay separately for the garage, though.
Correct, but if you're not
If
going
they-
to, if you're gonna walk away from it, wash your hands as you have for the past 18 months, then we're just gonna do it, and then we'll put it on the taxes, and then because you have delinquent taxes, you can't bid on any
But
more
how
tax
is-
sale properties.
The
And then
we
Hampton
have
will be
insurance,
safe.
we have insurance coverage.
For part of it, I don't
Right.
know.
But
Right,
right now, we can't tell what part is which. So, and we're asking, can you have that bid separated
Bro-
out from
just
the
broken
garage?
out.
I can break it out, but
Okay.
what are your plans as the owners of this property for the garage? 'Cause
We,
if you're gonna
we,
tell me we're not gonna
we don't have a
demolish
choice. Basically,
You're saying
you're
you have
moving
that,
to
so
tear it down
that's
before
fine,
we
tear it
can,
all down.
we can't even have a week to handle it
So,
ourselves. We
it,
just
get a
find,
month.
we
We haven't-
just found out
Did
to
you call the
yesterday.
city? Did you contact me when you got my letter on the 12th? Did you contact me and say, hey, we've got this issue? No, you didn't contact me.
What issue?
We have an issue with our
So,
insurance company. Give us-
there,
We didn't know that we had an
we
issue
did,
with our.
and we didn't know, you know, you read the letter, there's no timeline in the letter that says, so we think this is a natural process, the insurance company is doing their deal, and then bang, it's like emergency
1 week
Did
later.
you
hearing.
even call us and say you have insurance?
What?
I mean, you called the city,
I called the
What
city,
did you call?
I talked to Nick,
And you said what? What did you tell me?
that,
Fire.
that we had a fire.
Yeah, after my letter. Yes, there's an insurance, yes, they're looking into it, did you let us know any of that? Did you contact me, you had my name, my number, my...
But, you know, from my perspective, that it was a natural timeline. I didn't know that I needed to contact you
Based
in the
on
next
letter, we
7
did not know
days.
we needed to contact you.
It looked like it was progressing naturally, and they were gonna come up with a determination, and we were hoping that they would cover it, and they decided to. So this all seems very like a natural timeline, and it seems like it's a definite surprise that it's an emergency now.
If
But,
this house is on your block in Chesterton, full of garbage, full of stickers, tall weeds, the grass being cut by the city, how long would it burnt up? How long would you want it to sit there? What would be the natural progression for a house in Chesterton on your block?
so I can understand the frustration. Frankly, I think it was a nice house. The roof was brand new, the gutters were new, the windows were new, the plumbing was new, the electrical was new. Other than the grass being long, and if someone looked in the windows and saw newspapers, it was a nice house.
Well, there was,
But I do think all that's irrelevant.
numerous garbage on the porch.
board up window,
Broken windows,
There were, I mean, this is,
Yeah, this
so,
dialogue
so,
is not-
let me just say that we have, I think we have a dozen houses in Hammond, and you can look at the other 11, and they're in fantastic shape. This one took longer. We have a list of properties that we renovate, and this one hung out at the bottom of the list, and I apologize for that. I recognize if I lived in the neighborhood, I might be frustrated that this took long, and we won't do that again. That's not typically the way we work. It's a tragedy with the fire. We're taking a loss beyond what the insurance company is going to cover, and we would gladly clean this up. If you gave us a week, we could clean it up. Or you know, from my perspective, I'm okay stepping back and letting the town just progress and tear both the garage down and the house down and handle it like you'd like to. I'm totally okay with that. I just ask one thing: break out the garage, because I'm going to have to write a separate check for the garage.
I'll ask the demo contractor, once you affirm the order, to give them a separate estimate on the garage.
However, if it's not paid by them, it's going to be placed as a lien on the taxes, and Indiana law has changed, so anyone who is delinquent on their taxes is no longer able to bid on tax sale property.
We don't buy tax sale properties, but thank you for
Good.
that.
This is it?
Yep, I just have,
This is demolition.
I need the demolition order signed.
I like recommending from the order.
I'll second. Oh, I'll concur.
And I would ask that the board's consideration of a week's time before we do the demolition be conditioned upon them providing the list of all the other properties they plan on improving, and so we can look to see if they have broken windows and porches full of garbage before any of our firemen get hurt.
Yeah, we don't need a week.
We don't need a week. I would just proceed.
That completes item K. Item L is the bid tabulation and award for the demolition of the property at 629 Stewart Court, with J&M Industrial Services being the lowest bidder.
So what do you want me to do with this, Chris? Because Chris said he's gonna talk to Jeff.
If you want to talk to Jeff and bring it out, we can still award it as lowest, because regardless, we are going forward. If they don't take it down, we're just.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Breaking it out is just a courtesy to them. I'll just have Jeff do it, nothing to do with
I like
anything.
recommending
Down one, right down.
Pardon?
You want that down one?
Okay, next is hearing on property located at 1010 Hoffman Street.
Okay.
Mr. Voss.
Good morning. Curtis Vossi for the owner of 1010 Hoffman. We're ready for the hearing, but I'd like to, there's a couple things I'd like to just address at the beginning. This issue had started back in February of 2013, when there was an inspection. And I got involved in the case in the summer of 2013. And in January of 2014, we had a hearing scheduled. And it was continued by the city's request three times. And then in June of 2014, we started the hearing and the city dismissed it. Then, now in 6 weeks after they dismissed it, they contacted the homeowner to inspect it again. And they went to court to force a second inspection after they themselves had dismissed the case. There was a second inspection in December of 2014, and it wasn't until May of 2015 that we had the notice of violation for this hearing in May of 2015. Now, the notice is basically the same for the notice that they dismissed, and frankly, my client has been willing to talk to the city about coming to an agreement on what needs to be done, on what could be done within reason. What the city has been asking her to do would involve about $80,000 of costs estimated by the contractors to go in and tear out some walls and whatnot. We contend, and the city knows, that they're not, by state law, not able to site this building for fire separation, but nonetheless, we're willing to work with them. We wrote letters to Mr. Kearney, or Mr. Callahan, beginning in June. Wrote a second letter to Mr. Callahan, wrote letters to Mr. Cook, talked to Mr. Kearney, he referred us to Mr. Cook. We made an appointment with Mr. Cook for a meeting on June 20th. We met with Mr. Cook. He had requested Mr. Kearney be at that meeting. Mr. Kearney wasn't at that meeting. At the meeting, he referred us back to Mr. Kearney. I've called Mr. Kearney. I've sent him 2 letters to talk about this. You know, we're willing to work with the city, but the city doesn't seem to be interested in working with this client. As such, we're here for a hearing, and I would respectfully request a couple of motions that I'd like to put forward. First off, I would request that the city, or that this board agree with Indiana Trial Rule 41D and assess fees to the city that Ms. Thompson has spent in defending this second action. Indiana Rule 41D indicates if a plaintiff who has once dismissed an action in any court commences an action based on or including the same claim against the same defendant, the court may make such order as for payment of costs associated with the action previously dismissed, as it may deem proper. Our position is very clear. The city is harassing Ms. Thompson. They brought a notice of violation against her 2 years ago, and then when it was shown to them that the state building commissioner ruled, which is binding on the city per state statute, that they cannot enforce fire separation, the city requested continuances, 3 continuances on this matter in 2014. And then we come for the hearing in June of 2014, and we start the hearing and they dismiss it. Then 6 weeks later, they start bothering my client again.
If I may.
Excuse me, let me finish up here.
I'd like to respond to some of the things that he's.
Are you an attorney?
No, sir, this is.
Okay. Are you speaking for the city?
I'm speaking on my behalf of what statement you're saying. And
Okay, all right. Well, let me finish, and then I think it's proper for me to finish before he.
We're repeating ourselves. Full circle.
Nonetheless, we would ask the board to acknowledge Indiana trial rules, which indicate the board has the authority to assess payment of the fees that my client has paid to the city. And that's what this motion is. Yes.
Yeah, and Kelly's I mean, what Kelly's basically saying is when the case was brought initially in 1010 Hoffman, it was the same property, but we had the wrong person's name. Wasn't it the owner's issue?
It was under her husband's name.
It was under her husband's name. So the action was brought against her husband, and we dismissed because he doesn't own the property, or?
She's in possession.
Anyway.
She's always owned the property. She owned it tenant in entireties with her husband until he passed 8 years
Correct,
ago.
but the action was
So,
brought in another person's name.
no, this action was brought on the property, 1010.
Okay, go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. After the case was dismissed, we reviewed the file again, realizing that there was many electrical issues. Wanted to do an inspection, make sure that situation had been taken care of. There's no permits pulled, so obviously we thought the electric was still an outstanding issue. Took that further to Tark, and you've seen the pictures that we related to it, and he ordered the inspection to be done. We did inspect it. We did realize that it's still a 4-unit that's been cut up. We were originally a storefront with a residence. It is now a 4-unit, typical cut up. It's unsafe. There is no fire separation. Electrical issues are still outstanding. There's been no movement as far as getting anything repaired.
Well, the movement has been as we've reached out to the city, and the city does the scarecrow action. Who do you talk to get some answers from the city? This is the problem with this department.
Okay.
You try to work with them, and they will not work with you.
Okay. Through my conversations with Mr. Cook, It needed to be determined by the owner what they wanted to do. Were they gonna convert back to a 2-unit or keep it as a 4-unit? She wants to keep it as a 4-unit, there's gonna be issues that have to be taken care of, that by a general contractor to come and make the 4 units safe. That's what we're after, safety, okay? Nothing's been done about that. No permits been pulled, I haven't seen any estimates of what the work was gonna be done, he says $80,000, so I assume someone went out there and done that. In the meantime, we're trying to go forward with this case, make it a safe property.
It is a
Mr.
safe
Boston's
property.
last correspondence with us states that the owner is willing to sell the property to the city for demolition. I talked to Mr. Cook about that, and he's going to recommend it to the EP and see if they will buy the property and demolish it. I don't have the file, I could get that.
I have pictures. I mean, their pictures are 2 years old. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Things changed in 2 years?
Well, certainly, they're not, I mean, I don't know what they're trying to show in the pictures.
There's pictures of electrical.
Let's go forward with the hearing then. I just want the board to be aware that this matter has been going on since 2013, and the city has been responsible for a lot of the delays, and the city has then pulled back with this bogus thing that what they say, they dismiss it because they put in the wrong property owner. Well, no, this hearing before the board is on the property, is it not? And Ms. Thompson has owned the property since she and her husband bought it in 1972. So there was no, that's just, they dismissed it because,
Like elimination program, if they were willing to buy this property and do the demolition, per their request, per the owner's request. I say
okay,
let us
well,
go through that option.
that's news to me. I've been only contacting them, so we appreciate that. If that's going to be the case, then who do I talk to there?
Oh, hey, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Since your client's here, did you approach the city about buying the property from you?
No, I talked to Mr. Bosky about it, that when the first initial letter came, it was in my name. It was under my name.
Rosa,
all the
stand
time.
up.
It was under my name the whole time.
Come forward.
Except after they dismissed it, then the next letter I got was in my husband's name.
That's not, I'm talking about the blight.
Yes, I wrote them in the last couple of weeks with this. In talking with my client, I mean, we've been reaching out to the city to try to figure out, I mean, she's willing to do electrical within reason, and she's willing to do other repairs within reason, okay? But yes, in the last couple of weeks, when we were not getting response from our repeated, well, I want to say at least 6 or 7 since June, outreaches to the city to try to figure out what's going on, and when we realized that nothing's happened from the city, Ms. Thompson indicated to me, well, if the city is going to tear down the building, if they want to tear down the building, they're going to have to buy it from me. And so that we did make that request within the last couple of weeks via letter. We made that request since we weren't getting any other response. I'm gratified to hear what he said, at least that they did do something, but they'd never contacted us about it. If we'd like to pursue this, Rosa?
I have some pictures of one of the apartments I just cleaned. I'll show you from my phone.
Have you talked to Jeff from,
In all honesty, the likelihood of the hardest hit blight elimination program to purchase the property is something that she would want, very, very slim. Very, very, very slim. At most, because we're working on, I'm part of the committee working on it. The very most, we're getting back taxes, $4,000 or $5,000, and we can get the taxes wiped. I mean, if you
She's
want
up with
something
that.
like that, yeah, but that's not gonna
Pay
happen.
for the property that you bought at 841 and 845.
Whole separate issue, whole separate issue. And
Well,
I will
Rosa-
let you- I'll sit down with you again.
Yeah, well, here's the point, though. If they're not, if he says it's a slim chance, you know, I certainly acknowledge that he has more knowledge on this than I. But this is the first we've heard of this. We would still like to talk with them about coming to some resolution, and if not, we're happy to go forward with the hearing. But now they're saying, well, yeah, she can't apply for that. Yeah, hey, we'll pursue that. And if not, we would like the board to be aware that we've been reaching out to them to try to talk about some of these issues. And frankly, the issue that they talk about it being a cut-up, the last permit that was really issued on was in 1960. There had been a fire, and Chief, I know you're aware of this because before one of the hearings in May of 2013, the fire department searched its files, and all of a sudden we were dumped on with a bunch of new discovery from the fire department from the fire in 1960, which was fine. But anyway, there was a permitted repair in 1960, and you've had 4 units. Going back to 1928, there's been 4 units in that. At one point, there was a grocery store, a tavern, a curtain store in the front. There was a fire in 60, and then after 60, we've had 4 units there. And that was permanent work in 1960, and we've got, we got the evidence to go forward on that. The fire separation issue, again, I think the board's, yes, sir.
What are the 4 units now?
Excuse me?
4 residential units.
4?
So the 4 units back in 1960 were business.
No. There was 3 residences and a business in the front. There was a fire. Then there was permitted repairs, and then 4 units. It didn't go back to.
No, I thought you said there was a couple different businesses.
Didn't go back to over the years from when the building was built in the 1920s. So anyway, if you want to give a 30-day extension, and we'll talk to them about that program, and if they would be amenable to not pointing to each other for who we need to talk to, if they would sit down with us and talk about if buying the property is not feasible, Ms. Thompson would still like to continue it as a 4-unit, and we think we have the legal authority to. However, in the interest of safety, we would be willing to talk about upgrading some electrical.
Also, we have the, what is it, every 10 years when they take the census and everything, we have the 1940 census that shows it. There was 4 units there, 4 people would have been in those apartments. It was never cut out. There was 4 separate units.
Yeah, the front alternated between a resident and a business. There was an apartment in the back. There's 2 apartments upstairs. It's always been that way. 1928, I have some. 1920, the building was built. Right. I'm sorry. So anyway,
30 days continuous, we'll speak about the BEP program, which is probably not going to happen at the same time. If they want to continue as a 4-unit, they're going to need contractors are going to say, well, what needs to be done to make it a safe 4-unit. Wasn't originally built as a 4-unit. I can bring out the
Joe Alamio.
1908 that says it's not decoded.
Thank you.
1928 as a 4-unit. That's going to be our contention throughout, that whenever this was done, whenever the changes of use were done, proper building codes were not followed. Pick a decade.
Well, the city should know, because there is a court ruling that has told the city this, the city has lost on this issue, that when a building permit is issued, the building commissioner is attesting that the building is up to code and the use is proper, the form and the function are proper. In 1960, after the fire, there was a permit issued to repair. And from that, we had, you have a permit issued by the city in 1960. And there's been some permits since then, but we'd also maintain that their permit list is not complete. We have evidence to show that their permit issue is not complete, so they really don't know what permits they've issued. The permits they issue, the permit log they have doesn't really show what was done. Nonetheless, we've had 4 residents in this building going back decades. But nonetheless, council has given me a contact for the hardest hit. We'll contact them, but we would also ask that the board instruct the code enforcement and building department to sit down with us and to talk about if this is not a viable alternative, what could be an amenable way to address some of these safety concerns.
I have no problem with that. I do apologize for missing the meeting that you had. Kurt had advised me of the meeting in passing through the parking lot. It did not hit my schedule. I had something else on the schedule on top of it. I was going to limit the schedule that I had. We're meeting that. Basically, it was not on my schedule. I have no problem meeting again with him. And again.
Can you guys get together with Mr. Bosky?
Yeah,
Both of them at the same time?
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Continue this till September 24th. That's my recommendation.
For the board's clarification, Mr. Vossi is voicing frustration over, we're not bouncing them back and forth. My job is, new construction is about, Kelly's job is to find cut-out apartments. Until the board makes a ruling on whether this unit has to be a 2-unit or a 4-unit, I can't do anything. A 2-unit is governed under one set of codes, the residential codes, and a 4-unit is governed under an entirely different set of codes. So I can't tell them what to do until I know what the use is going to be.
I can certainly appreciate that.
We'll figure it out.
But June, you're the one that referred me to Mr. Cook. So great. We'll meet with both of them in the next 30 days, and I'll contact them, and we'll have a report for you, and we'll hopefully have some agreement. Thank you.
We move down to item N, rental registration hearing for property located at 1650 171st Place. The property owner in the audience.
Recommend that we accept the tax refunds.
Yeah, I'll concur. Item O, rental registration hearing for property located at 837 Merrill and 826 Merrill.
Mr. Diggs?
Morning. I'm here on behalf of my brother Michael Diggs. He's an out-of-town landlord, and I'm his brother. And I'm here trying to get registration inspection stickers for the 2 properties.
I have nothing against this, Mr. Diggs. He seems like a very nice man, and I appreciate him coming. But the problem is his brother is an out-of-town landlord, and we have to keep cutting the grass on this property. There have been 10 citations issued between 2008 and 2011, including cut and cleans, for the property at 826 Merrill Street. And 837 Merrill Street, there's been 6 citations between 2008 and 2011, including cut and cleans. He was late in 2006 and 2007, he was on time in 2008, 2009, he missed 2010, he was on time for 11 and 14, and he didn't register for 15, that was 837. And 826, he was on time for 8 through 9, missed 10 and 11, never paid to register, he was on time 12 through 14, and he missed 15. So the problem is Mr. Diggs living in New Jersey is impacting the city of Hammond. And now Mr. Diggs, who lives in New Jersey, is asking for the city of Hammond to give him some consideration, and it doesn't seem Mr. Diggs is giving us any consideration.
You're his brother?
Yes.
Were you aware of all those violations?
No, I wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. I have nothing against this man, he's very nice, but
I know a young lady, he had a lady by the name of Allison, I don't know
Okay,
who.
here's the thing. Do you live in town?
Yes, I do.
Do you drive by these houses all the time?
No.
Okay, the problem is that we've had 16 times the city had to go out and cut the grass on these properties.
On both of these properties?
16.
Okay,
right,
okay.
10 on one, 6 on the other.
The problem is your brother lives out of town and nobody's going to
Okay.
take care of the property.
Well,
And he's collecting rent.
there's people living in these places now,
Well, but they live there. He
Okay.
owns the building. He's
All right.
responsible to keep the property up.
I understand.
And if he told the tenants to do it, then he got that tenant.
Right.
You got any police calls, Chris?
Actually, police calls from just June of this year. Somebody was in custody because a female's brother struck her and she is passed out. And then July 12th of this year, family disturbance, reporting person states he wants his wife put out of the property. And then we had another family disturbance that same night. Johnny Austin was there and just battered somebody. And police calls on the other property, the most recent one was 2014. October of 2014, family disturbance, hang-up, call back, mail said there was no problem. 11/5, family disturbance in the alley, responding person on foot trying to get to her vehicle. So, I mean, these aren't exactly model properties.
Is 826 single family or, you know?
I have,
Single?
It's just single family?
They're both single?
I believe they're both
Yeah.
single
So
family.
are we here for 15 here?
We are here, well, okay, to be honest, on 8/37, we are here for 15 and 2010. For 8/26, we're here for 15 and 2010 and 2011. The building department is recommending that we give him one late fee so that he will understand that the city is not pleased with his maintenance as a landlord.
Okay, well, help me out here then.
Sure.
2010, 2011, and 2010, are $80.
Okay, it'll be, so
That's 240.
for 837, let's go to 837 Merrill, that would be $85.
Well, I was gonna do the
Okay.
80s first.
Okay, I'm sorry,
So
then that
for
would be,
both properties, there'd be three $80 fees for the registration. And then for the 215s, there's $10.
correct,
So that's 250.
correct, and
Plus
one,
500 would be 750.
yes,
I'd like to recommend that we assess the
The-
$500 fine on all properties and assess the proper fees for the property.
I'll concur.
So, your brother didn't register in 2010.
I understand. Okay.
In 2011 on one of them. Back then, the rental registration fee was $80. In 2015, it's $5. So
Okay.
that totals 240, or 250.
All right.
But there's a $500 fine because he needs to take better care of his property.
All right.
And his tenants are causing the police department to go there
Okay.
numerous times.
All right. So the total will be,
750.
all right. When is that due?
It's due if you want to pay it today, or you'll have within 30 days.
30
to
days.
Mail something to him.
Okay.
yeah, no,
New Jersey.
you're not the one who did this.
Okay, 30 days.
They're gonna mail it to him in New Jersey, so he's got 30 days to pay it. If he doesn't pay it, Chris?
If he doesn't pay it, then the entire late fee is going into effect for all of the years,
Which
All
would
right.
be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's another.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, would you, let him know that, let him know that in the letter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, you've already done enough, really. He owes you a big basket for Christmas.
That it?
That's it,
All
yeah,
right,
done.
thanks.
Now we move down to item P, rental registration for properties located at 1503 Calumet and 1413 Stanton.
There's a fact finding here, I'd like to recommend that we approve the fact finding on that one.
And I'll concur. Item Q, rental registration for property located at 6607 Missouri.
Hi, good morning. I'm new at rental property. I've owned the property for 12 years, lived in it for 11. We moved
One,
just this one property. I bought the house in 2003, and we moved out last year in July. House was on the market from March of 2014 to September, and we had no buyers. We pulled it off the market, and we decided to rent the home that we lived in, and we rented it in October. We were not aware of a rental registration. I mean, the property taxes are paid up on it. I have landlord insurance on the home itself. And the only thing that we weren't aware of was the rental registration until I got a letter in the mail from Smith Surtis. Is that, yeah, yeah.
Is this for 14 and 15, Chris?
Did you have it rented in 14 at all?
You know what, in October. October 1st is when we had the renters come in October.
Then yes, it would be for 14 and 15.
Yeah.
It's even one day.
I'd like to recommend that we assess, I'm sorry, not assess, waive the late fee, but the units must be registered at the proper rate, which would be 80 for 14 and $5 for 15, so it's 85.
Okay,
Within 30 days.
can I pay it now, or?
You pay it after the meeting, show me the paperwork, or we'll mail it to you, you got 30 days.
You know what, I've got to go to work, so,
That's fine. we can
yeah,
do it.
mail it, yeah, you guys have my correct address, right?
Well, we have an address in Dyer.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's where we're at now, so. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
we move down to item R, agreement to rehabilitate property located at 1116 Moss, submitted for approval.
Mr. President, this is a property that was on the demolition list. However, an owner has come forward and wishes to rehabilitate the property, so I would ask that you approve the agreement.
So moved. I recommend.
And I'll concur.
I recommend what she said.
We move down to item S, correspondence received from St. Casimir Church requesting a point of interest sign to be placed along Calumet Avenue, preferably at the intersection of Hewen and Calumet, submitted for approval.
I'd like to recommend that we,
We need to refer that to Gary Gleason,
that's what I was gonna recommend.
and they may need to request from the state too to place it there, but let's send it over to Gary. Next is item T, correspondence received from Lori Zulno and Lisa Miller requesting 8 picnic tables that were previously approved for delivery at 7142 Forest for September 27th, be delivered between 7045 and 7049 Forest. That same day, I assume?
Yep.
Okay,
So
so,
we just have to let Gary know where to send it to, or Donna?
yeah, that's a change. We-
That'd be a long walk.
Donna's on vacation, so who would you send it to then? Okay. Linda will take care of it.
That's my recommendation for Linda to take care of it.
And I'll concur. Item U, disposal authorization submitted for approval.
Recommend that we approve all the chief building's requests.
And I'll concur. Correspondence received for late rental registration hearings.
Where are we going for these?
What do you want to do?
Correct, we have demos on the 10th and the 17th, so I would ask if you please
Meeting on September 24th.
And I'll concur. Garage sale permits submitted for approval.
Recommend that we approve them all.
And I'll concur. Item X, agreement to rehabilitate property located at 5714 Calumet submitted for approval.
Mr. President, this is a demolition property. I had sent this agreement back to Chris Rhodes in June. I have no idea what happened to it, but it is now just resurfaced, and I would ask that you approve it. I think it's set for status in a couple of weeks, but let's just enter it and see what happens.
I recommend that we approve it.
And I'll concur. Do we have any matters from other board members?
I would like to recognize Councilman Woman Nestle in the audience. Hey, does it all the time. I congratulate you.
That's supposed to be my job.
You're not doing it.
Okay. Item 6, matters from other department heads or their representatives. Do we have any new business? Do we have any old business? Meeting is open to the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak? Come up. State your name.
My name is Herbert Louis. I'm here to get a variance that I do every year for my 9/11 for my fireworks at the end of my ceremony. I do a 9/11 at our house every year.
173rd.
Yes.
That's by Orchard Drive.
Okay,
Right.
do you have a safe and secure place to do it?
Yes, I do it in the back and everybody's in the front.
We do it every year.
But no, that's fine. The Board of Works just has to approve it, and I would just ask that a copy be sent to the fire department, so in case they get any calls or.
Be there.
Well, I usually get calls from the lady that lived behind
No,
us.
I mean calls like the gutters are on fire.
Oh, no, we've never had that issue. We've been doing it for almost 12 years now.
Yeah, that's all, just.
Man, we do it in a very safe manner. The fire department's there and the police department's also there too. Thank you very much. Y'all have a nice day.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Hey, can we get a copy of that?
Well, this is just.
We need, yeah, we just need your name and address, we can mail it to you. That's all.
Okay, it's,
Oh, here, you can see it, that's fine.
that's green.
Oh, you got that hand up.
Recommendation adjourned.
Herbert Louis.
My recommendation. And I'll concur. Adjourned.